into another episode of Truth Be Told. I am joined again by my co-host, Caroline Jaravicious.
Yep, not getting rid of me.
Nope, she's here to stay. Today we are talking, as you can see in the background, Penn State. Our topic today is Penn State athletics. It's on the up and up. It's a really exciting time to be a fan of the Nittany Lions, an alumni, a current player, a former player. It seems like almost every single sport is just excelling at a very high level.
Yeah.
Might as well start out with volleyball, Caroline. First off, I'm just curious, when you came here, I think a lot of people kind of came on the volleyball scene before, like when you committed. Where was Penn State volleyball like sitting in terms of like nationally?
So COVID kind of like decimated the program, and there was just like so many transfers in and out. There was a new head coach, but Katie had been here for a while, so like as an assistant coach, so people had trust in her, but like still the transfer portal was just implemented because of COVID. So it was just so much turmoil, so much shifting that it just took a couple of years for people to like settle and people to like settle into their roles and like know what they want in a school, and for ultimately like Penn State volleyball to rebuild. Because the last time they'd been to a Final Four was 2017, I want to say. So that's a couple years ago, especially in comparison for Penn State volleyball, who had 7 prior to that year. So this year, it had been 10 years since we had won a national championship. And it's just crazy to me how the recruiting's picked up and how big of transfers we're getting. Like, case in point, we have Kennedy Martin coming in, National Player of the Year finalist, Oppo, out of Florida. She's insane. And then that's just like even one example. You just have so many people coming into Penn State volleyball that want to be a part of Penn State volleyball, which is just so cool for me to see, especially with the fact that June 15th, which is like the first day of recruiting allowed for volleyball, literally just yesterday, 2 top 10 commits on the U19 national team committed yesterday, which is just crazy. So Penn State volleyball on the up and up, and I'm so excited to see where this program goes over the next couple of years, and I'm even more excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, what was the camaraderie like in that locker room? Like, you guys seem to like have it. You got that it factor on that team. How did you make that? Like, obviously it wasn't just you, but like, did you feel it start to come together? Was there like a slow start to the season? Like, how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, I think anybody who's in my locker room with me kind of knows how. I mean, it's just like, I think female sports are just like kind of a different thing. Like, it's a different dynamic than men's sports. And I don't think you have to be best friends with everybody on your team, but you have to have respect for each other. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, like that national championship locker room, like we all had respect for each other. And we were all able to have those like tough conversations. Like, you're not doing enough. You need to do more. And I think that's powerful. I think it's mature. And I think it's really representative of like what the culture of Penn State volleyball is.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing to do is like self-govern as teammates, because so often it's you look at that and it's your friend. It's like, I don't really want to like get into them. Like, I don't want to lay into them. But the teams that actually do that are the ones that end up winning. Because it's like when you don't have that leadership within the locker room, it's like, what do you really have? But it seems like you guys were inside out, like led through and through by the players too, not just like Katie and the coaches.
When it's like, when you have a program full of people that are willing to look you in your eyes and tell you what you don't want to hear, I think that's the coolest thing. Because like, your boss isn't going to be like there in 20 years saying like, oh, it's okay, like this report was like, it was good enough. Like, no, they're going to demand better, otherwise you're going to get fired. So I think when you demand other people to do their job and they demand you to do their job, things grow. So I honestly also think that we can carry that into this year because we have those foundations. And I think that all comes from the Russ Rose era of volleyball, which there's a lot of documentaries on it. You should look it up.
But yeah, shout out Russ Rose.
Yeah, seriously.
Absolute legend. That is why we are where we're at with volleyball this day and age, for sure. What with volleyball, I didn't really know how intense it was. I know we're talking about all the sports, and we'll get into some other things in a second, but I was shocked to find you guys have like a similar schedule to football.
Yeah.
Where it's like you got the spring training. You guys even played like a couple games, right?
Played 3 spring matches. Like, I think D1's D1. I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, we're in the middle of it. We're a national championship team. Like, it's not like we're kind of just waltzing around having fun. Like, I think women's sports need to be taken a little bit more seriously. Like, we're doing a lot. Trust, we need that break too. So I think that's a huge thing that I'm going to be preaching on this podcast. Like, not just volleyball. Like, you look at the successful teams like women's lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, like continue down the line, like these girls are up at 6 a.m. busting their asses, just
Absolutely.
like the rest of them.
Dang right. No, we'll definitely. I think we were talking about for our next episode, we're going to get into a little bit of NCAA settlement, all that stuff that's going on.
Yep.
So Caroline and I are very versed in the NIL world, so I'm sure you guys will get a lot of those talks. But yeah, I mean, just talking outside of volleyball, obviously, we know that would you say you guys are like number one coming into next year?
I mean, I think statistically, the fact that like we ended number one, like, yeah, we're going to be number one in the preseason rankings. But I think the NCAA volleyball world is just such a hard place to stay on top in. There are a lot of good teams, a lot of good players, and a lot of well-coached programs. And volleyball is just getting harder and harder as training becomes more like efficient and people are starting to jump higher and hit harder because of like the strength programs and the rehab that's available to everybody. Like it's just continuing to get more competitive. So I think it's anybody's game, but I mean, shit, we'll still try to stay in it.
Damn right you will. I'm excited to watch. All right. Outside of that, we had, so obviously volleyball won the national championship, wrestling national champs.
Shocker.
Again. Happens every single year. I was surprised I don't think we won in fencing, which we're like known.
Pretty good.
We're like really good in fencing.
Went to a fencing match this year because there are 800 strong pack partner, which is a thing where like sports have to go to other sports matches, games, meets, whatever it is. So we all go to a fencing meet, and that's intense. I don't know if you've ever been to one.
Never been.
Like, there's a lot of celebration that goes on, and there's a lot of footwork. And I'm like, I think there's a massive misconception that it's just like fencing, but
yeah,
like,
it's just like easy.
intense.
Yeah.
So shout out fencers because I am not that quick to react, and I would probably get stabbed right in the chest multiple times.
I feel like that's one of those ones that everybody, like the sport that people look at.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. And then you realize
No, you can't.
just how good people are at like
Seriously.
their sport. It's that way with me for golf. Oh my God. Don't see me out there. It's not good.
I can't golf.
No. We'll actually, we're going to do an episode on that. We'll teach you how to
do
golf.
we?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. But learning from me won't do you any good. So we'll see kind of where that goes. But fencing was up there somewhere. But I mean, we finished top 4 in football, top 4 in lacrosse. Obviously, baseball, not top 4 nationally, but we were in the final 4 in the semifinals as far as Big Tens.
Men's gym.
Yes.
10 champions.
Men's gymnastics was big. That was the one I was missing. Big Ten championship.
That's huge. I just like, okay, if you were to be a men's gymnast, what event would you do?
That thought of me doing that, I can't even imagine. I would really like to. I mean, come on, we're at Penn State. Who wouldn't want to do the pommel horse?
I know, Steve.
Be like
Dancing with the
Steve.
Stars.
Oh my God.
That's so sick.
He's like one of the most famous Penn State. He's like more famous than Drew Aller, probably.
I think he's definitely up there. I mean,
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars helped with that, but like that man carried. Have you seen that like clip of him just like sitting and meditating before he had to go up there?
Yes.
Like how I couldn't. I was in gymnastics for like a month because my parents were trying to make me more athletic when I was 8. I'm again 6 foot at 8. It wasn't going to happen. And like I couldn't even do a cartwheel. And then I see these like women's gymnasts, like they hosted regionals this year. That's another one.
Yeah, I saw that.
I can't. Like the flips, the bodily control. No.
Yeah, well, first, I mean, you and I both being over 6 foot, it's like we don't. That's not really ideal for gymnasts, but
my job.
we'll have to do that. Maybe we'll include. You were actually the first. You were like the only episode I did where I started that series. I wanted to do like Game On, where we go to like a different Penn State sport and like try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna bring Caroline on for that, and we'll go like
I'm here.
we'll do like fencing, wrestling, gymnastics, all of it.
Let's talk more about wrestling real quick.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think makes them so good?
Oh, probably Kale Sanderson to a degree.
Kale Sanderson.
I've heard that he is like special. He's there. He came and talked to us a couple times.
Did
On the football team, and he was like a true like molder of men. Like you could tell he is like one of the greatest leaders you've ever seen. And then it helps that, I mean, obviously they had to get to that point to where they could, but then they just recruit like every single like number one guy in the nation.
It's just somebody out of like Japan or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh no, I can't remember his full name, but I think it's like
But
oh no, yeah, something like
He's
that.
Legit. And every
Yo.
time I see Kale and Rec, like I always say like, hey coach, how are you? And he's just the nicest guy on the entire planet.
That was interesting. That was something that when they had won, I think this was 2 years ago, Carter Starachi did an interview and he talked about, he was like, our coaches aren't out. They're not doing, they take time away from their family. They're like, our coaches do our laundry. He was like, they do everything down to the little.
That's so true. They have one of their coaches wheeling in their laundry every morning when we lift, and he's like walking by, and I'm like, you are a coach at the biggest wrestling university in the world, and you are humbling yourself to get down there with your team. And I think that's why they're so successful. It's crazy.
I know. And it's something about like just like the way they grind together. Also, the other thing I like they do is they always play dodgeball before every practice.
I see that. They like crank the ball into the window sometimes while we're lifting accidentally. They're not a throwing sport, so maybe want to work on that, guys.
That's a good point.
Kidding.
All right, volleyball versus wrestling then in some dodgeball.
Oh, they would.
I was say they do a lot of it. So
They've
clearly.
got heaters on them, and I'm like, we have heaters on us, but like, oh my god! But they're just also like great people too. Like Penn State wrestling doesn't recruit like assholes. Like they're down to earth people, and I think that's so cool.
Oh, I think that's really important. Like their culture, you can tell it's different, and like I said, that all goes back to Kale and kind of just what he's built. I mean, he was like the greatest wrestler of like all time, and then came here and has just been. It's funny to see like I don't bet at all, but like I see like the betting odds for like Penn State and like the national championship, and we're like, oh, it's ridiculous. Like our numbers, it's like if you bet like $100 on us, you wouldn't win anything because it's just like so likely that we're gonna win.
Yeah,
I've honestly never seen a sport where you start a season and you know who the national champion's going to be. Like to get to that level, I was having that conversation with some Penn State fans. Like, is it almost boring to be a Penn State wrestling fan? And it's like, no, you don't ever get tired of like winning national championships.
No,
but like
you're running out of fingers to get rings on.
Yeah, but like God, that does have to be kind of hard though to consistently like. I don't know. Like you just always win. Does that get tiring to always win?
I don't know, but I feel like you have a target on your back this year when you like won that many. I feel like the schools like the Oklahoma States, the Nebraskas, the Iowas, like, I mean, yeah, like Penn State fans are getting tired of seeing them win so much, but like those schools are probably getting tired of them seeing. I mean, so it's like, it's a dogfight in any sport, like not just in football. I mean, next year you guys are projected to be the best team in college football, but it's a dogfight.
It is.
Kind of at all the high achieving sports right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. Let's talk about it. Football is in a place that we haven't been in a while where it feels like probably we haven't been here since your dad played of like
God,
the expectations are like, yeah, exactly. It's been a while, but like I can't remember the last time expectations were like this high for football. And I feel like, I don't know, if we could win a national championship in football too, that would,
God.
I can imagine that. I've seen like the videos of like, well, there's not really any videos, but like pictures of like the celebrations downtown, like in 82 and 86.
State College would burn.
Oh my gosh.
It's like when hockey went to the
right
before, like that exact thing. That's like, I want to experience that. So football.
Yeah, we need to come through on that one.
Get on it.
We would have to, we'd have to grease the poles. There would be a lot. Wait, what was it that there was huge riots out on the street? Was that when we went to the semifinal? It was pretty bad. Maybe I forget what that was. There were some really bad riots out there where they brought like the police were out there. They threw tear gas.
I think that was hockey.
That was hockey. Yeah, that was hockey. That was when hockey. Yeah, that was when we beat Maine
in
in Allentown.
Allentown.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Really
and it would
cool.
probably be even bigger, honestly. No offense if it was football, just because football.
So why is football projected to be so good next year?
We're returning everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, Drew Adler's coming back for another year. We got both running backs, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. Mm-hmm. We got Zane Durant and Dennis Sutton. Those are both like the best defensive linemen on the team. Yeah. And then we have like the two best coaches in college football and like our offensive defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles and Andy Kotonicki. And yeah, I just think we were so close last year. We returned the majority of those older guys. Then we got some good transfer portal additions at like wide receiver. I'm sure even you know that we need wide receiver help.
Everybody needs help in some departments. So what, like, do you think that's because like the cohesion that's already existing, like that these young kids can learn from and carry forward?
Yeah. Oh, I totally think this is something that this is a lot of people are saying this is the biggest year like in Penn State football. I mean, obviously every year's big. It's hard. It's easy to say that, but it's football. Like, yeah, it's like if this year, if we do what we think we can do, we can set up Penn State to continue on that same track. And I think, it's hard because like football, there's not as many opportunities to lose. Mm-hmm. There's obviously not as many games, but it's just, it's like, it's there for the taking is kind of how it feels. And there's a lot of fans that are kind of anxious. I asked ChatGPT actually to predict the Penn State football season. And I put it out on Twitter. And the prediction was that we were going to beat Ohio State and Oregon. We are going to win the Big Ten championship, but that we were going to lose in the semifinal game again. And a lot of people... It's against Texas. We were going to lose in the semifinal.
Okay,
game.
Interesting.
And a lot of people were not happy with that. They're like, that would not be good enough, which I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword. That's hard to deal with when it's like being a top 4 team would still be a disappointment in some people's eyes, but it's
The
like
disappointment's crazy. I think.
that's that.
I hate
No,
when people do that.
That couldn't be a disappointment.
No,
I know
that's not a disappointment.
What is? Yeah, I guess that's. I mean, I know you're not as like into it, but like, what would you like? Yeah, I agree. I feel like disappointment's such a harsh word.
No,
like even if you go to the playoffs,
grinding every single day. Like, how are you going to call all that work that they put in a disappointment? That bothers me.
I know you're looking at it from the athlete.
I am looking at it from the athlete point, but
it is the
from
fan
a
lenses.
Point, I guess I've never really cared about another team as much to feel disappointed by their performance because I've just been so focused on my sport my entire life.
I can see that. That's how I was until I was a Steelers fan, so a lot of disappointment there.
Go Browns.
Yeah.
Disappointment there.
Well, I was going to say, then you got a lot of disappointment there, sister.
Believeland.
Keep believing.
Well,
it's gonna
okay,
continue
Cavs
to be rough.
2016. So we got something there.
There you go. LeBron brought it. He brought it back to the city. That was
Thanks,
a good
LeBron.
one for you guys. Yeah, LeBron did
Thank
save. He saved the day.
Okay, hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Okay, I just want to update you on this. We're getting like 5 stars, like top 10 projected NHL
my
draft picks.
God, it's crazy. It's just commit after commit after commit. It's crazy.
I don't know. Like I just had Guy Gadowski on my show a couple weeks ago, and he's like the coolest person ever.
Yeah.
He didn't come. He asked me beforehand. He's like, "Should I come with my tooth or without my tooth?" And I was like, "Let's go without it." Yeah. So he was just missing his tooth for media. He's like, "I normally put it in for media, but for you, I won't do it."
Let's keep it
authentic.
authentic.
Yeah, it's authentic over here for sure. And it was. I can see why they do so well. He challenges like every player on the team to ping pong, which I thought was really interesting.
That's fun,
right?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like every time you look at these teams that are kind of special, and they all have like those things that just make them cohesive and make them a little bit different. And yeah, I'm really excited for where they're headed. It seems like they went from, and Guy was honest with me, like borderline he could maybe get fired at the beginning of last season because they had lost like almost every game. They lost every Big Ten game for like, it was like 8 games straight. There's like 7 or 8 games.
It happens.
And it does happen.
Yeah.
And then you know what happened after that. And now it is like they are on a heater, and they're probably going to be up there as far as the best teams in hockey, in college hockey.
All right. Men's lacrosse.
Oh,
Final
that
Four.
one's, yeah, Final Four. That was, we should have won too. Yeah. We've been there a couple times now where we've gotten just so close and fell just a little short. But I mean, like as a whole, all of these, I don't know. I feel like we have to give Pat Kraft some credit. Like he has made this many winning programs. I don't know if it came out or like who won, but he was up for AD of the year. Wow. And it is, I don't know. You just felt like, I mean, I've been here a little bit longer than you, but it just felt like to see everybody start to go. And it's like you see all the teams coming out to support each other even more than we've seen before. And it's just starting to feel like it is a really cool time to be at Penn State or a Penn State fan or Penn State alumni. Like it just feels different. Now I will say the whole like revenue sharing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get into that another episode.
That's
but
another episode. So
that's going to be, yeah. No, I'm just saying that's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens with like different teams and whatnot.
It'll be interesting. But I think one of the coolest things that's happening at Penn State athletics right now is the building of what is the new complex?
Yeah, it's in Greenberg. Greenberg
Complex, which is like a training table, rehab, like study space. And it's this place for like everybody to go to. Like every athlete's going to have access to it. And I think that's going to bring people closer. And I think that's going to inspire more camaraderie and more attendance to other people's matches because you're making new friends. And like, it sounds so like childish, but that stuff matters. I think one thing about Nebraska is we had like, there was all the training table, the weight room, all the study areas were in Memorial Stadium, their football stadium. And everybody had to go there. So everybody knew everybody. And I think that's one thing that I thought Penn State was missing for a while. And I think that this is actually going to be accomplished through that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I didn't even think about that everybody's going to be eating together. There's going to be, we already kind of do study together, but there's going to be more of that, more of like a relaxation place for athletes to go, student athletes. Don't forget the student part.
Student
athlete. No, you're right. I think that's really cool. Like I said, I think it is a cool time. And if you got anybody, any sibling, friend, neighbor looking to come to Penn State for any athletics, it's never been a better time, Caroline.
I think this is really, really cool. And I got 3 more years left here to deal with it.
All right. So, well, Caroline's here for 3 more years. We're going to keep her on the podcast, hopefully for the foreseeable future as well.
Don't get rid of me yet.
Not yet. Guys, next episode, we're going to do a little rev share talk. We're going to talk about the future of college athletics, especially at Penn State here, and excited to continue this on with Caroline.
Let's do it.
So let's do it. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Please like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.